Right, so that was a case of trying to do something quick, or trying to find a quick way of doing it, because you think the long way is going to take long, where the shortcut way actually took longer, and I should have just done the long way in the first place. But we're all guilty of it, we all do it. The main thing is that job is done, everything's working, on to the next one. Hi guys, and welcome to this week's video. Thanks for tuning in. It's a slightly longer one than usual, so I hope you guys do enjoy the content and watch it to the end. The reason why it's a slightly longer one is because I've done a full week's worth of videos. I thought I might not have enough content because on Thursday I was invited up to AD headquarters where they're celebrating 20 years of being AD, so that was really good, really enjoyable. And then on Friday, because it was up in Cheltenham, they put us up in a hotel. By the time I got back on Friday, it was late afternoon, fitted in a gas hob, and that was it. So bulk of the videos are Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, and then I've got the gas hob on Friday. So I hope you guys enjoyed the video. As always, please do subscribe, hit the thumbs up button, and press the little bell as well, and drop any comments below. Enjoy, guys. Morning guys, so today we've got quite a few jobs to do. It's going to be quite a busy day, so I'll try and film as much as I can. This first one is it's a block sink, and that's caused the condense on the boiler to leak as well out the boiler, so I need to go and have a look at that. They're also saying that they can't get the hot water on without turning the heating on, so I'm going to investigate that, see what's going on, and show you guys what I find. Okay, so we've got a main Combi 24HE. The pressure's actually dropped to 0, so where I initially thought it might be the condense, I think it might actually be something in the system. So I'm gonna try and put some pressure back in, see if I can replicate the drip and try and find out where it's coming from. Also, I've just found out what the issue is with the hot water. So if you're familiar with this boiler, you know that when you give it hot water demand, that spindle comes out. So if I open up a hot tap, watch that spindle. Okay, so the spindle comes out, but it's not hitting that micro switch. That micro switch is completely buggered. Yeah, it clicks there, but it's basically this metal tab. Looks like it's just split. So looks like it's going to need a new micro switch in order to get the hot water issue sorted. I still haven't found where the drip was coming from, but I'm going to try that again now. Right, so what's happened here is where I've tried to move that little lever, it's actually snapped off the hinge there. Where did I put it? There it is. So I'm going to, just as a temporary measure, I'm going to see if I've got a bit of glue, super glue, something like that, just to glue it back onto there, so that until I can get a new switch, hopefully it should still make. I have a feeling that the pressure drop issue is actually down to a split main heat exchanger, because that condense trap is starting to fill up on its own. Either that, or it's backfilling from the sink where it's all blocked up and now it's trying to find a way out, so it's coming up through there. But if the pressure's been dropping and that is starting to fill, don't know, if I hold it there for a few seconds, you might actually see it rising. But that condense goes down the back over there, so I'm gonna have a look, see if I can at least clear it out from there, see if that keeps filling, then that will tell me if we've got a split main heat exchanger or not. If we do, then it's going to need a new boiler, because main heat exchanger and these are going to be obsolete considering the age. But I'm going to have a look at that, try and do a fix on that and see what we get. Okay, so the condense literally just runs into the waste there. Don't know if you guys can see, you can probably see it better than I can. So I'm just going to undo that compression up there. Probably going to have a whole load of water come out. I'm going to get my wet back on it and see if we can suck out the crap from it, see if we can clear the blockage. If not, I'll just have to get a drainage guy around to clear it, because I think this has been blocked a couple of times before. Right, so I've confirmed that the main heat exchanger is split, so this is going to be getting quoted up for a new install, because that condense trap has been filling up and the pressure has dropped. I had it on about 1.5 bars and it's already dropped down to about 0.5 bar. So yeah, going to be getting a new boiler in here. What I'm trying to do with the micro switch at the moment is I've put a bit of super glue just on the metal paddle there, just so that it adheres to it and it's got enough basically movement, or strong enough to hit the micro switch to give them hot water. Don't want to really get a new micro switch just for the sake of that. We're going to be replacing the boiler anyway. Or I might see if I might actually have one of these in my shed at home. So if this doesn't work, I'll see if I can salvage it. But yeah, this is going to get ripped out. Just need to find space in my diary to see when I can get it in. Also, I forgot to mention, we do have a bad blockage in the waste section there. I've managed to clear it enough to be able to drain the condensate out, but I've called a drainage guy. He's going to be coming to clear the block drain because it goes from the sink around there, and I believe it goes into that box in there. So he's done it a couple of times before. He said that it's probably going to be a bit of an ongoing issue, so I'm just going to get him out here to sort that out and then booking it to get the new boiler done. Right, so the next job we're about to go into is a full service for an Ideal Logic Combi. This boiler's never had a full service before. I don't even think it's had a normal service before. What are we saying? Split sump or not? Let's find out.
And I thought, no, whoa.
Right, so we've got a Ideal Logic. So I've had the case off, and luckily the sump is in good nick, so that's fine. I've got a bit of a crusty AAV there. Oh, people keep calling me. Yeah, I've got a bit of a crusty AAV there, so I have got a Worcester AAV on me. These are compatible with the Ideals because I didn't have an Ideal one on me, but it's just the ones where you got the two fins on each side and it's a 1/4 ton. So we'll swap that AAV around. I'm going to take the burner out, change the burner gasket. So I've got a fresh burner gasket here, so that's the part number if anyone's interested. So change the burner gasket, flush with the main heat exchanger, recharge the expansion vessel. The standard works on a full service. People still keep calling me. And 26.9 checks. So I'm not going to do a full video on the service. I have done one of these before. I'll see if I can find the link and put it in the description below, but I'm just going to start working through this now. Right, so disassembled the fan, the burner and everything. So let's have a look inside. You guys are having the first look at me before me because I'm going to be checking the condition of this back off of this footage. Burner is out, so just going to be changing this fiber gasket. There's no springiness on the baffle plate, which is good. No issues there. Anything else I needed to point out? Not really, I don't think. I mean, Ideal Logics, they're fairly straightforward to strip out. You've got two 8mm bolts there which come out and two 8mm bolts at the back. Once you take them out, you just lift the burner up, swing it to the side and it comes out. So I'm just going to give this a clean, change the seal on that, then drain it down, change that AAV, recharge the vessel and do our 26.9 checks. So I've got myself this Karcher OC3 mini pressure washer. I just find it gives me a little bit more of an edge when it comes to cleaning these main heat exchangers. It is a little bit powerful, so you've got to watch where you aim it, but especially on these type of heat exchangers where you can't get a brush down it, proper jet wash gives it a good clean. There we go, just gotta wipe off the back now. So a couple of blasts with that and it's made it a whole lot clearer than what it was before. So now I'm just going to change the gaskets and then do all the rest of the wet work, change the AAV, etc. Pop it all back together. So I'm just getting a bit caught up with this wire wall because yeah, that needs cleaning up. The fan venturi, I'm just going to air dust it out there. The actual the fan, this is the venturi, doesn't look too bad. Give that a little clean out as well. And then pop all that back together, pop the fan assembly back on. So cleaned out the inside of the venturi, the injector, giving that a bit of a scrub as well, so that's all good. So now I've just got to pop that back on there. Got two screws. Pop these two back and then we'll get the boiler reassembled again. Right, typical. When I'm doing the gas rate, this is a 30 kilowatt boiler. It's only gas rating at 12 kilowatts. I put it into maximum rate and that's what I was getting in low rate. You hear it in a minute. Hear that little rumbling noise? It's going to get worse now. And then it locks out. So I've had this before. Spin the gas valve. So I'll get a price for that, see how much that is, and we'll have to come back and replace this. In the meantime, I'm going to have to sticker this one up because if it's not gas rating properly, it's not safe to be left on. So that job, that service, obviously not straightforward service. Got everything done. It was doing my 26.9 checks, gas rated it, coming in at 12 kilowatts, and it's a 30 kilowatt combi. Something's not right there. Put it into low rate and it's just making that really loud rumbling sound. So I've come to diagnosis that it's a gas valve. So now I need to pop to the shop, get a gas valve, come back and fit it, and try and squeeze this job in amongst the other jobs that I've got to get through today. So I might come back to that one in the evening, but main thing, I just need to go to the shop and pick up the valve. Just parked up at my next one. This is just a basic service on a Valent Ecotech Plus. Been here before. I'm not going to film this one because I need to be in and out and try and get to these other jobs now. So I've just come to Essex Heating Spares to pick up that gas valve. So anyone, if you're in Essex and you're stuck for parts or anything like that, come and see Ryan and Sean at Essex Heating Spares. They're based in Collier Row. They've got 99% of the parts in stock. I mean, the weather's a bit grim. It's starting to rain, but I'll see if I can get a quick shot of the shop. There we go. Essex Heating Spares. So Google them, get the number, and if you're stuck for parts and you're in the Essex area, hit them up, they'll be able to look after you. Right, so this next job, we've got a, I don't know how well you'll be able to see because it's really tight in here. Hello. Right, so standard ball valve, not shutting off. And I pull it up, that shuts. So just turn the ball valve over and hopefully that should sort the problem out. It's gonna be fun. Oh, tight squeeze. Okay, so I have swapped out the ball valve there, so that's no longer letting by. The old one, lime scale, typical in this area, but yeah, that's all done now. On to the next one. Right, morning guys. This job is going to be a power flush today. So the reason why customers asked me to come and do a power flush is she's got a couple of radiators, namely this one in here and this one at the back there. So she's saying that she's having problems with just these two radiators getting hot. Apparently the system was flushed previously, but she's still having problems with the heating. Some of the radiators are new, so you've got some nice column radiators there. There's been a new boiler put in recently, so system I would expect it to be clear. However, we're going to see what we can do. I'm going to basically connect onto this tower rail. Pipe works a little bit easier here, so I can take off these two lock shields and go straight onto there, so that makes it a little bit easier. Because under the boiler, I'll show you, it's a little bit tight. So in here, if we have a look at under the boiler, I mean, firstly, nice Valent boiler, ideal system filter. I'm not sure why that's on there, but I could have either taken the filter out and gone onto there, cutting a T in there, but it looks a bit tight. I'd have to fiddle around with the valve connection in there as well. So easiest place for me to connect onto seems to be the tower rail. So I'm going to connect onto the tower rail. I pre-dosed the system last week, so it's had some chemical running through it for a few days already. So system, I should be able to start isolating radiators straight away, and I'll get the thermal imaging camera out and see how it improves stuff after we've done it. Okay, so everything's connected up. So I've gone onto the tower rail, straight onto a 15mm, 3/4 inch female line on there, and on there I've put a 15 compression elbow, and then onto my adapters. So that's how I adapt these onto existing radiator valves. Obviously I've taken the valves off to try and prevent as much restriction as possible. In the meantime, where I've had the machine filling up and heating, that's at 60 degrees now, so that's ready to go. So let's flick it on. Oh, power, that would help. Let me plug that in and then we'll flick it on. Okay, so we're running, we're live. That's cooled down a little bit, so that's around 30 degrees at the moment. That's all been bled as well, so just waiting for it to circulate around the whole system. Although it's been dosing, it's been pre-dosed last week and it's been circulating for a week, well, for about probably 3 or 4 days. Oh, let me come out of here, it's a bit noisy. Right, that's probably be a bit better now. So yeah, what I was saying is, although it's been pre-dosed and I've had it on for probably about, I had the chemical in there about 3 or 4 days now, maybe a bit longer. I'm just going to let it run for probably about another 10-15 minutes today around the whole system with the power flush. Then I'll start isolating the radiators. If I was doing this fresh, I'd let it circulate around the whole system for about an hour and then start isolating radiators. But because I've had the chemical circulating in the system already, it just speeds up the time when we come down. Right, so the flush has been running for about probably 15-20 minutes now, and you can see that this one, let me just step back a bit. So we do have heat. Oh, let me trying to focus 2 cameras at the same time. It's a bit difficult. But yeah, we've got heat going to this one. I haven't isolated it completely yet. That's showing about 25 degrees. Even this one, we've got about 23 degrees showing on the thermal imaging camera. So we are getting heat to it. Now let's just compare it to another one. So let's see what this one's saying. So this one, yeah, about 25 degrees. So there's not a lot in it. It seems that the heat is getting around everywhere, but for some reason, what the customer said is these two, they've just not been getting hot. So we'll start isolating the radiators and see if it clears any blockage, see what we pull out, and then we'll test it again afterwards. Power flushing is one of those things where it either works like brilliantly, exactly how you want it to, or there's another further underlying issue and then you need to do further investigation. But power flush, it's going to help. It's not going to hurt regardless. At least it's going to help clean the system if it's not already clean. If it's been flushed recently, then I mean, I can only advise that I don't know how well the last person flushed it. So although it may have been flushed, I don't know how they flush it. So they've asked me to do a power flush, so that's what I'm doing today. Okay, so now I've isolated all the other radiators and we're just flushing this one. So from the, let me step back a bit and try and get both of these on. Okay, so you can see that the heat is actually getting to it. So we've got about 40 degrees going across the top. We've got a bit of a dark patch there, but that's starting to get smaller, so it looks like the heat is actually traveling down. I'm going to agitate the radiator a bit and see if more dirt comes out. Let's give that a go. Let's go and see if it's picked up any dirt in the machine. So the hoses look fairly clear at the moment. Water quality says otherwise. Let's reverse this as well. Something that way. And let's see if that's made any difference to the heat. So yeah, so now we've got better heat going down there. It's getting a little bit more uniform across the radiator, so I'm going to let that flush for a little bit longer now. Okay, so moving on to this radiator now. This is the second problem radiator, and let's get this back on again. So you can see we've got quite a lot of heat transfer coming in from the right hand side, but it's not as much on the left hand side until you get all the way to the left. So we've got a patch in the middle. It's not a massive difference, we're probably talking about a couple of degrees difference, but you can see by the change in the shade that there is definitely a bit more of a restriction in the center of the rad. So again, let's agitate this one. Right. Let's kind of have a look at the water quality, see if we've got black water coming through the hoses. Let's reverse that. Right, don't know if you can hear that. It was making some sounds. Let's try agitating it again a bit. Right, I can hear a bit more flow. Don't know if you guys can hear that. But it sounds like there's more water rushing through it. Whether it's the fact that I reversed the flow, the direction of the flow or not, I'm not sure, but right, just gonna have a look at them hoses again. Right, they don't look too bad, but then again, it might have been caught in the magnets. Let's see if it's made any difference on this. Okay, so yeah, so we've got about 39, 40 degrees in the middle, 41 on the right hand side, 43 on the left hand side, so fairly uniform. Just let this flush out a bit more, and I guess the true test will be once we dump it all out and then put the heating on and see if this gets hot, then we know that it's done its job. Okay, so I've just finished flushing all the radiators. Let's have a look to see how much dirt we've picked up. I'd say for a system that's been flushed recently, that's more than what I'd expect. Hopefully this would have shifted the blockage to those two radiators. So we'll get that cleaned off, then we'll set up the dump hoses and start dumping each radiator as well. Okay, so we're just in the process of dumping the radiators now. So we've done all the upstairs ones. We're now on the downstairs ones. I've got a nice little path for my dump hose here. Just pop it straight out the window. Let's hope I don't drop this. But yeah, just down there's a gully. So I've got it long enough to reach all the way down there. Just gonna have a look, see. Yeah, there's still a fair bit of dirt in there, you can see. Let's empty that out. Yeah, it's still quite murky. It's clearing up though. So just let that keep going until we can see the X at the bottom. Then we'll move on to the next rad. Okay, so here's an update. So I've only got this radiator and this radiator on at the moment. I just want to test it. So for this one, as you can see, we've got about 50 degrees going across the whole radiator, which is good. It's still obviously creeping down towards the bottom, so that one's okay. This one, however, not so great. We've got about 30 degrees, 29 degrees across the top, and then obviously you can see by the coloration that it's still struggling to get down to the bottom. One thing I have found is we've got, I don't know if you can see on there, so incoming temperature is about 53 degrees. There, it's about 53 degrees. So we've got the heat getting to the radiator. It's got brand new valves on it as well. So look, you've got a brand new lock shield on there. I've even taken the head off that TRV, so that's all brand new. It is getting warm, but I got a feeling, considering the age of the radiator, I just think it's struggling to get the heat through, because the one next door doesn't look as old, and that one we've got heat going through it straight away. That one's not as old. The other radiators in here, we've got like all these column rads, so they've all been changed. But she's struggled to get a replacement radiator for this one, because obviously it's a curved bay window, and you'd have to get a curved radiator. There's not even any sort of flat parts of the bay window where you could put in flat radiator. The only option I could see is maybe could put in a column radiator there, and maybe one against the wall there. That might be an option if they don't want to go for the curved radiators. But yeah, I mean, at the moment, as it stands, that's only getting to about 30 degrees across the top. But we know that there's not an issue with the pipework, because we're getting 52 degrees, 53 degrees to the valve. It's just not able to transfer that heat through the radiator. So it looks like it's going to be a new radiator if required. Well, it is required, so just going to have to look at options about a new radiator on this one. Right, so that power flush is all done. I had a chat with the customer. She went, even initially when she booked me in, she said that she wasn't sure whether it was the radiator or if it needed a power flush. She said it was power flush before, but you saw by the state of the magnets how well it was power flush before. The system's as clean as it can get, but yeah, that radiator is just going to be the problem. So we already had a chat with her about potentially putting in 2 new column radiators, because there's a curved bay there. She's open to the idea of putting column radiator on either side of the walls, vertical ones. So we'll see how she gets on, and then we'll take it from there. If we get the job, then we'll go and do that. Right, this is probably going to be my last job of the day. Got this old Moffat 2030, an old relic that's coming out. I'm going to be replacing it with a new hob. So underneath we've got a gas lever valve there, so got quite a lot of space underneath here, so shouldn't have any trouble piping it up. Let's get to it. Typical hob, it's too big, which is not too much of a problem. Just means I've got to get the jigsaw out and make the cutout bigger for it. Okay, hob's in position. I had to do a little bit extra wiring because the cable was coming straight off of the cooker switch. There's no 3 amp protection, so I fitted another fuse spur, 3 amp fuse in there, and pipe work. Alright, don't judge me. I had to go around the houses a bit, but did the best that I could because there wasn't enough space in there. Used the original gas isolation valve. Doing a drop test now. Luckily, nothing sort of goes above that level anyway. The drawer only sits about that low, so they only had plates and stuff in there anyway, so it's never going to go above that point anyway. That's how the old one was. So yeah, just doing a drop test and then we'll fire it up. There we go. Hob's done. Nice bright blue flames. Drop test is spot on. Gas rate is spot on. They can cook freely again. Right, morning guys. So first job of the day is we've got to fit a couple of radiators, change some valves and change some bleeding blanks on the radiators. So the first one we've got here is this one in the hallway. So you can see it's been leaking from there. So it's going to change the blank on that side, and I'll probably just change the bleed as well, just for good measure. So that's one of the jobs. Second one is in here. We've got this towel roll valve that's leaking from the gland, so I'm just going to swap them both over whilst we're here. And then we've got this big radiator. I think it's a 1600 type 22. So that's going to be going in this bedroom here. So there's someone fitting blinds in there at the moment, so I'm not going to disturb them. And then I've also got this one to replace. This is going to be a light for light replacement. You can see it's been leaking for a while. It's not in a good way, so I'm going to swap this radiator out for exactly like for like one, and the one next door is going to be same width, but it's going to be 600 high and a type 22, so I'll double because they want to get a bit more heat in the boiler. Well, check this out. I had to get to the boiler. It's in there. So I've been here before and I've wired up a nest to the system and given this boiler full service, but to get there you literally got that ladder propped up on these stairs, and you've got to sort of make a makeshift pathway like that to get into there. But yeah, boiler's been locked off at the flying returns and turned it off. So I'm not going to be draining the whole system down because we don't do that. We're just going to drain the pressure off and start jumping stuff. See how we get on. Okay, so now the towel roll is all drained out. We've still got pressure in the heating system. I've isolated the fly and return on the boiler, so that should shut off the AAV. I'm literally just gonna spin this round. Oh, someone's trying to call me. Gonna spin this upside down, open the valve into the bucket, drain the pressure out, and then we can just change the valve without having to drain the whole system. Okay, so just about to get this radiator off, so I've just locked off both sides. I'm gonna open the bleed, let the pressure out, and then just take it off. I've got these, where they're gone, the little plum thumbs, so just to block up the ends of them so it doesn't let any water spill out. New radiator, that's the one that's going on, so I've already made the tails in. I always use, where's it gone, rapid blue stuff for anything which is male threads to female threads. Goes off within minutes. I've never had a leak so far. Watch how I said that now, and I'm gonna have a leak. Right, so they're both off. Lift the radiator off and just take it out. Okay, so what I've done here is we've got a bit of movement on this pipe here, so that sort of moves up and down. This one's pretty solid, so I've taken this one as my reference point. So I've got the laser going through the tail there, going across there. So from there, I'll measure off the back of this, get my measurement from the bottom of the radiator, well, from the tail to the bottom of the bracket, take that measurement off that laser line up there, and that pencil mark there is where my bracket's going to go. Okay, so this is the next radiator that we're going to be changing. So this is a type 11 at the moment, but we're going to be changing this for a type 22. So going for the same width, but we're going to go for slightly higher. Going to put in a 600 type 22 because they said this room doesn't really get as hot as they like it to. So I'm going to put in a bigger radiator, which means adjusting the pipework a bit. Means I can literally hang my radiator where I want and then do the pipework adjustment afterwards. Want to see a bit of real life plumbing? That bracket is fine. Needs nudging over a bit. This bracket, way off. That's my mark there. Don't know if you can see for the bracket. I don't know what mark I used there, but just got to move that over now. Okay, so the radiator's all done, piped up, filled up. So I went for a bit of soldering today. Had to do a bit of pipework adjustment there. No leaks. Try to keep it as neat as possible as well. So happy with that. So we've got that radiator done. That one's done as well. And then obviously I did the towel roll downstairs and changed the bleeding blanks from the one in the hallway. So that's this one done. Now on to the next one. Right, so next we've got a Ecotech Plus 831. Let's have a look at the fault history. Right, so we've got F53. I don't know how clear it is on camera. F53, F53, F20, F53, F53. So the last 10 fault codes have been majority F53. So for that, I've got one of these, the Venturi, the mass flow sensor, so we're going to be swapping that over. And also, don't know if you can hear that, we've got a faulty zone valve there as well, so I'm hoping it's just a synchron motor, so I've got one of those here as well. So we'll change that first, do that after, and hopefully that sorts it out. Okay, so the zone valve, when I try and, this is completely gone. So that motor is completely gone. This one's slightly different. So normally you have two, where you've got the brown and blue cables, I've just got to cut them there, take this motor off, and then pop the new motor on. Right, slight change of plan. This whole motorized valve is knackered, so change the motor hasn't helped, so it means I've got to change the whole thing. Luckily I've got a Honeywell valve here, so because it's going to be a bit tight trying to move the pipes up and down, I can undo the 4 screws on there and just change the guts of it. So that just draining down at the moment, draining the pressure off, and then I'm going to whip that open and swap it out. Alright, if you haven't seen how this comes apart before, you literally just got 4 8mm screws on each corner. Just make sure you remember which screws go on which corner. So you've got these ones which have got a little nub on there, then you've got these ones which allows the motorized valve body to actually screw in. So once you split it apart, you've got this as the internal of it, you've got an O-ring there which sits in there, so we want to make sure that we replace the O-ring when we do the same in there. So the pressure's drained off now, so I'm just going to lock off the flow valve under the boiler now, so that should stop any more air ingress. And locked off the valves on the underfloor heating manifold as well, so now there will probably be still a little bit of water behind there, but I'm going to quickly swap that out now. Right, I really wanted to film that, but there's just not enough space, and I had to literally get inside the cupboard, and you probably wouldn't be able to see anything, and there was a fair bit of water that came out, so I really need to be on it with the wetback. Yeah, that's slowed down now, so now you can see we've got the old body up, put a new O-ring in there, and then just going to replace the guts of it, screw it back on, and pop the new head on. Okay, so I've ended up changing the complete valve. Luckily I had movement when I undid the nut, that bottom pipe drops down a bit, so I had enough space to get it out. Where's the old one? There it is. Old guts. We'll back up the pressure. Don't know if you can see there. Yeah, I mean, sweating. At least that's done now. Now I've just got to sort the motorized head out, wire it all in, and then we should be good to go. Right, so that was a case of trying to do something quick, or trying to find a quick way of doing it, because you think the long way is going to take long, where the shortcut way actually took longer, and I should have just done it the long way in the first place. But we're all guilty of it, we all do it. The main thing is that job is done, everything's working, on to the next one. Right, I've got a Wiesmann here, with a recurring F4 fault code. Pressure's on 0 as well, so we'll top that up. I'm gonna have a look at the electrodes because that seems to be the most common fault on these, and then we'll do our other checks and see what's going on. Right, so I've got my U-gauge connected there onto the gas valve. I've changed the electrodes. That was the old ones. They're not too bad to be fair, but I've popped the new ones in just to be on the safe side. Topped up the pressure. Let's reset it. I think these are touchscreen. There we go. Right. Let's see what it does. This is gas valve open. Okay. Got hot water demand. Oh, gas valve's open. Got a blip there. Nothing. Right, let's see if we get power going to it. No, doesn't look like we've got power going to it if I'm being honest. Right, let's take the electrodes out and see if we get a spark off of them. Right, let's put the power on again and I want to see if we get a spark. Okay, boiler's back on again. Let's see. No spark. So either the ignition lead, which I doubt it, I reckon PCB, because I don't think it's sending the power to it. No power coming across it. We've got power obviously going into live earth and neutrals, but no power coming off of that. That's telling me we've got a board issue because the board's not sending the power to the electrodes in order for them to spark, and that's what the problem is. And unfortunately, I don't have a decent PCB on me either, so it's either going to have to be fixed price repair from the manufacturer. Let me turn this off. Yeah, it's either going to have to be a fixed price repair from the manufacturer, or I'm going to have to come back with a PCB, but these are not cheap, so might be better off for the customer to go down the fixed price repair route. There we go. AAV's on. Pressure's topped up. That's all I can do for now. Customer's going to get V-spin out for fixed price repair for the PCB. So here we are, another gas hob for the week. So just removing the old gas hob and cleaning off the gunk that's around it. I just tend to use a Stanley blade to scrape it all off. As usual, the new hob was slightly bigger than the old one, but not too much, so I just had to trim a little bit off the front edge of it. And yeah, just hoovering up this excess sawdust that's come out of it. Putting the heat resistant tape around the new hob, getting it into position, make sure it fits nicely, which it does. And then got very, very lucky here with the pipework. Didn't have to make any adjustments. The old pipework matched up to the new hob, and off we go.